I'm Ludovic Siouffi, everyone calls me Ludo. I'm with Foxfold, and I'm the founder and CEO.
Very good. So tell me a little bit about Foxfold.
So we're redefining the way that toilet paper gets dispensed. So as you know, toilet paper has been a roll for what has been 100 plus years. We instead thought, well, what if instead it was an inverted tissue box on the wall? And what that does by having a single sheet of toilet paper is you're able to reduce your consumption by 50%. So 50% consumption, 50% less waste, 50% less on dollars and cents. And then a lot of other ancillary benefits like housekeeping, storage, and maintenance, and everything else in between.
So how did you conceptualize your business? What was the impetus for Foxfold?
We traveled a lot, my co-founder and I, for work, and we found that every time you would check in or check out of a hotel room, big white glowing roll of toilet paper was there. And we're like, well, what happens to those rolls? And we started asking friends and in the hospitality world and housekeeping, just walking up to them down the hall and being like, what happened to that roll that was just in there? And we found that they just go straight to the bin. It can't be recycled, can't be reused for both hygienic, but also it's just not a recyclable product. And the cardboard that's inside still gets thrown away as well because it's too hard to pull that out. I don't know if you've ever tried, but pulling out that cardboard piece from the toilet paper itself is really hard. And so just time efficiencies, throw it out, throw it out, throw it out. Well, an average hotel goes through about 45,000 rolls a year for a 200-room hotel.
My goodness.
So you imagine the amount of waste byproduct of not using nearly all of it, but only using maybe half of it is bad.
So there's obviously a sustainability element to this business. What are the kinds of conversations you're having with hotel operators around, their toilet paper consumption?
Yeah, I mean, unlike other sustainability initiatives, I pick on solar panels, but solar panels, which has been an idea for the last 2 decades, I'd say, you still face the cost initiative, right? So big upfront costs, an ROI of 10 plus years. So we're able to come in with a great sustainability metric and sustainability idea that's going to reduce waste dramatically, give a better experience overall for guests, but most importantly for them is reduce cost on not having to buy all of those unused tissues. We have a solution where it's what goes in the room stays in the room, nothing ever gets pulled back out of the room. So no half-used rolls of toilet paper, and we've also innovated what we think is the world's first fully refillable facial tissue box. So now refill that tissue box, instead of having a cardboard box, just take off the paper wrapper, refill the facial tissue box, and you're done. And that just gets full consumption over and over again.
So then how did you come about working with suppliers to Foxfold, the makers of the containers, and then also the suppliers of the paper products?
Yeah, so my co-founder and I, we come from a finance and marketing background, so we didn't know the first thing about building really anything. So first of all, I have a whole new appreciation for anything that's built, like an espresso machine or any of that. But we were able to partner up with an industrial design agency out of San Francisco called Box Clever. They came on as equity partners early on in the story. They loved the mission, the vision of what we were going to create and disrupt. And so they came on board with all of their graphic designers, engineers, and everything in between to take this product to life. So they were the guys behind some of the biggest products that already exist out there, like Away Luggage and Nebbia Showers. And so for us, it was a perfect fit to have that complement our expertise and bring this idea to life.
And of course, we're seeing the reflection of some of these ideas. You were way ahead of your time, because now we're seeing the refillable containers for toiletries in hotels instead of the tiny little bottles,
right,
and that kind of thing. So in some ways, is your target audience better informed today, or do you still have to educate people?
I think there's still an education piece, but we're definitely seeing the trend in Europe already.
Okay.
So we've already seen Whole Foods, for example, in Europe convert a lot of their locations into having these dispensers. We've seen different hotels doing the same as well. And every place that's converted has never gone back to a roll. They've always stayed down that light.
Excellent.
So that's been a huge metric for us.
Good.
And then we've also found studies based out of Europe where they've been able to save 40% on their consumption based off of that conversion from a roll to an interfolded sheet of toilet paper.
So how are you collecting, is it surveys from your users? How are you collecting data around toilet paper in industry and in hospitality specifically?
Yeah, I mean, luckily we've got a lot of data from what's happening already across Europe.
Yep.
And then now, as we go to launch, we'll be able to gather a lot more data as we get into like more and more institutions, and our numbers will just get finer and finer in detail, and I'll be able to get down to like, you know, a very quick metric on, you know, you tell me how many bathrooms you have in your hotel, I can tell you how much in dollars and cents you'll be saving every year with a pretty accurate picture, without including any AI or any of that fun stuff in there. Yeah. Toilet paper in general is pretty recession-proof, as we saw through COVID. Yeah. Everyone was kind of rushing to like, I got a roll of toilet paper, and that whole panic, and you know, on toilet paper. But that aside, you know, we're coming in with a cost initiative and a cost benefit for hotels, yeah. which ties in really well. Like, obviously sustainability is a big piece for us, but for them, it's, as you mentioned previously, the cost driver. So really, whether we're booming or we're in a recession, cost is always kind of like at the limelight in this industry of trying to figure out ways of like how I can reduce my costs, and while not diminishing any experience on the guests. And you've already seen that, as you mentioned, with, you know, going from the little shampoo bottles. There was a lot of hesitation at first on the change to dispensers, and now if you go to a hotel and you see the little shampoo bottles, you almost get a negative experience to that, because you're like, they're so wasteful, and that wasn't the case before, right? So,
well, you're touching on an important element of businesses such as yours and product offerings, and that's consumer behavior. Right. And the time it takes to retrain people based on their new expectations and what they're used to. So in terms of, you know, I think you've said a couple of really interesting things. Toilet paper is recession-proof, but that's because it's something we completely take for granted. Right. So right from the get-go, you stopped taking toilet paper for granted, started asking questions about it. Do you find that you're able to convey that philosophy to people that you're speaking to? You know, do we take toilet paper for granted?
Yes and no. I think until you get to the dollars and cents. So I think you and I probably, it's not a big line item for us, because you only have, you know, a certain amount of bathrooms in your household. Depending if you have kids or not, or teenagers, that number might jump, you know, might double, but for the most part, it's not a big expense every year. Yeah. For someone who has, like in this building, probably like 500 or 600 bathrooms, and that conversion happens, you know, every, like a roll of toilet paper, and what we found is lasts about 2 to 2.25 days. That's the lifetime of a like roll of toilet paper in a hotel, and in the world of hospitality.
That's kind of weirdly fascinating.
And so now, it gets, and there's no shortage of puns as well once you get, you know, deep into it. But like, but what we found is, like, you know, once you start paying attention to that times, and you multiply anything by, you know, 180, you know, days per year, then it just adds up exponentially on all of those facts and figures. So, and these guys are paid to look at those like line items, versus you and I, like, okay, it's, you know, when you go to the grocery store, you're probably going to buy the one that's on sale. That, unless you're very brand specific, which I would say maybe like 10% of the market is. Most of us go to the grocery store, we find that little yellow tag of which one's on sale.
Or a loyalty program, extra points or what have you.
Boom, done. That's the one you grab, and that's the one, if you talk to retailers, that's the one that always flies off the shelf. So we're just about to start trials with Four Seasons and Fairmont and some other biggest brands that are out there, that include one hotel group, that all want to try it out in different ways and capacities, because for them, they are big on sustainability and they're measuring it in a big way. Yep. And so a lot of them just, it almost sounds too good to be true, where it's like, wait, I can reduce my cost and have this beautifully designed product that is going to like add all of this metrics to sustainability. So that's going to be part of our launch, is like proving, you know, walking the talk a little bit and proving that we can do all of these things, and then at the same time building our relationships with different distributors that are out there, and understanding the landscape. And that's why we're attending as much of these conferences, to tell people about, you know, toilet paper. And to be frank, it's really fun to tell people that you're like sell toilet paper for a living. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. My big dream is that, you know how you walked into a hotel room and you might see like the little shampoo bottles, and you're kind of like, they still have that? They don't have the dispensers? It's so unsustainable and terrible for the environment. I want to have that same feeling for people who walk into a hotel room and they see like an old roll and they go, oh man, like, you still use a roll here? Like, that's so ancient, that's so disgusting and unhygienic. So I want them to come in and see a beautifully designed box on the wall, and that just becomes standard, and include many more partners. Like, we just end up being the first that have done it in a beautifully designed way with extra wide sheets that are all 100% bamboo. Like, I want to set that standard for everyone else that comes in, and then we become, just more the norm than the first.
Pioneers in toilet paper.
It'll be fun.
I love
it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ludo.
Thank you for having me.
Interview.
Thank you.